Welcome to the Flashpoint News, bringing you the latest news from around the world. Breaking news. Today, the gavel falls, and with it, a chapter in American history closes while another begins. The sound echoes far beyond the courtroom, reverberating through the halls of power and the streets of the nation. Washington, D.C. October 25, 2025. The city is tense, the air thick with anticipation as the country awaits a decision that could reshape its economic landscape. On the marble steps of the Supreme Court, a nation holds its breath. People from all walks of life, business owners, workers, students, and activists gather, united by uncertainty and hope. Flashing cameras illuminate protesters on both sides of the barricades. The world is watching, every moment captured and broadcast live. Chants for fair trade clash with cries of America first. The debate is fierce, emotions raw, as each side fights for its vision of America's future. Inside, the silence is deafening, until the sharp final rap of a gavel echoes. The decision is made, and the weight of it settles over everyone present. The Supreme Court has struck down the sweeping Trump-era tariffs. Years of legal battles and political arguments have led to this pivotal moment. The scene outside erupts. Cheers from one side, outrage from the other. Some see victory, others defeat. But all recognize the magnitude of what's just happened. Reporters scramble to capture the moment, their microphones thrust into the crowd, seeking voices that reflect the nation's divided mood. This isn't just a legal ruling, it's a political earthquake. Newsrooms across the country light up as analysts debate the implications for the presidency, Congress, and the American people. For years, these tariffs have been at the center of America's economic and foreign policy. They shaped trade deals, influenced global markets, and affected the livelihoods of millions. Now, with a single ruling, that framework is dismantled. Business owners and workers alike face a new reality, uncertain about what tomorrow will bring for American commerce. Financial markets swing wildly as traders react. Stocks surge and plummet, reflecting the confusion and speculation that grip Wall Street and Main Street alike. The ruling challenges the broad executive authority used to justify the tariffs, raising profound questions about the balance of power between the branches of government. Legal scholars and politicians alike begin to dissect the court's reasoning. The court has spoken, but the real story, what happens next, has only just begun. As the sun sets over the Supreme Court, the nation stands at a crossroads, waiting to see how leaders, businesses, and ordinary Americans will respond to this historic decision. So, what did the Supreme Court actually decide? The justices ruled the president lacked legal authority to impose such broad tariffs using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. The law was meant for specific national security crises, not long-term trade policy. The majority opinion reaffirmed that Congress, not the president, controls tariffs and trade taxes. This decision sharply limits a president's ability to declare economic emergencies and impose sweeping tariffs without Congress. It's a major reassertion of congressional power and a reminder that checks and balances matter. To truly understand the significance of today's Supreme Court ruling, we need to take a step back and revisit the events that set the stage for this moment. Let's rewind to the period when these tariffs first came into play, a time that marked a dramatic shift in U.S. trade policy. During President Trump's administration, the United States imposed sweeping tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of imported goods, with a particular focus on products coming from China, but also affecting other trading partners. Supporters of these tariffs argued that they were necessary to protect American industries and jobs from what they saw as unfair foreign competition and trade practices. On the other hand, critics warned that these measures would ultimately backfire, leading to higher prices for everyday consumers and increased costs for American businesses that rely on imported materials. The global response was swift. China and the European Union retaliated with their own tariffs on American goods, causing U.S. farmers to lose access to key export markets and leaving crops unsold. Meanwhile, American manufacturers faced major disruptions in their supply chains, forcing some factories to slow production or even shut down temporarily. The tariffs ignited a full-blown trade war, sparking heated debates across the nation about the true costs and benefits of protectionist policies. Over time, the policy became one of the most defining and divisive issues in American politics, leading to legal challenges that have now culminated in today's Supreme Court decision. As the era of tariff-driven trade wars reaches a critical turning point, the nation now looks ahead to what comes next for American trade and the global economy. Economists were deeply divided. A few supported tariffs as a way to rebuild U.S. manufacturing, but most, including former Fed chairs, warned tariffs were a tax on Americans, not foreign exporters. Their analysis showed higher prices for families and businesses, with little gain in manufacturing jobs. Retaliatory tariffs hurt sectors like agriculture. The consensus tariffs slowed growth and made the U.S. less competitive. Expert testimony painted tariffs as a self-inflicted wound. Their arguments shaped both the legal case and public opinion. This case wasn't about whether tariffs are good or bad. It was about who decides. The administration claimed the president could use IEEPA to impose tariffs, citing economic threats. Opponents argued only Congress can levy taxes and duties. They warned that letting the president act alone would dangerously expand executive power. IEEPA was meant for specific crises, not rewriting trade policy. The Supreme Court had to draw a line. Does the president's need for flexibility override Congress's authority? The decision would set a precedent for the balance of power. The stakes, the very structure of American government. While legal battles raged, Americans felt the tariffs at the cash register. Imported goods, from appliances to clothes, became more expensive. Businesses relying on imports faced higher costs, often passing them to consumers. Some companies cut jobs or moved operations overseas. Farmers were hit hard by retaliatory tariffs, losing key export markets. Billions in government aid couldn't undo the damage for many. The tariffs created uncertainty, making long-term business planning nearly impossible. The result, a drag on growth and widespread economic anxiety. The tariff debate was about more than economics. It was about America's place in the world. Supporters saw tariffs as a way to protect U.S. jobs and assert independence. Critics argued they isolated America, hurt alliances, and sparked unnecessary conflict. The divide unilateral protectionism versus global cooperation. Retaliation from allies showed the risks of going it alone. The Supreme Court case became a proxy for these competing visions. The outcome would shape America's foreign policy identity. The Supreme Court's 6-3 decision was a clear rebuke of executive overreach. The majority ruled IEEPA couldn't justify tariffs for long-term economic issues. They emphasized Congress's constitutional authority over trade. The dissent warned the ruling could limit future presidents' flexibility, but the majority insisted on restoring the balance of power. The decision sets a precedent. Presidential power has limits, especially on economic policy. The final word, this was about the rule of law, not just trade. The Supreme Court's landmark decision marks a pivotal new chapter for U.S. trade, signaling a significant shift in how the nation approaches its economic relationships with the world. This ruling is more than just a legal change. It's a turning point that will shape the future of American commerce and global influence for years to come. Tariffs on imports, which have long been a source of tension and debate, will now begin to unwind. This move is expected to lower costs for both businesses and everyday consumers, making imported goods more affordable and potentially boosting economic activity across the country. American companies that rely on global supply chains may find it easier to operate, while shoppers could see lower prices on store shelves. However, this new era brings fresh challenges. companies must once again adapt to a rapidly shifting economic landscape, rethinking their strategies and operations to stay competitive. The uncertainty of change means that business leaders will need to be agile, innovative, and ready to respond to new market realities. The Supreme Court's ruling hands the reins of major trade policy back to Congress, restoring the legislative branch's authority over these critical decisions. This marks a return to a more traditional balance of power, where elected representatives have a direct say in shaping the nation's economic future. From now on, future tariffs and trade measures will require open debate and formal legislation, rather than being enacted through swift executive orders. This process will likely be more transparent, allowing for greater public input and scrutiny. While this new approach may slow down the pace of trade policy changes, it promises greater stability and a more democratic process. Decisions will be made through consensus and careful consideration, rather than unilateral action. The age-old debate between protectionism and free trade is far from settled. Lawmakers, business leaders, and experts will continue to argue over the best path forward, weighing the benefits of open markets against the need to protect American industries and jobs. Now, Congress faces a critical choice. Will America pursue cooperation and engagement with global partners, or take a more confrontational stance to defend its own interests? The decisions made in the coming months will have lasting consequences for the nation's role in the world. By reaffirming that major economic decisions belong to the people's representatives, the court has strengthened the foundation of American democracy. This ensures that the voices of citizens, through their elected officials, will guide the nation's economic destiny. The gavel has fallen, setting a new course for U.S. trade. Yet, the debate over America's future, how it trades, who it partners with, and what values it upholds, continues, shaping the next era of prosperity and challenge.